Have you ever been lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying a conversation that happened 6 hours ago? Someone said something simple. Maybe they replied with a short text. Maybe they looked away for a second. Maybe their tone sounded slightly different than usual. Most people would move on. But your mind doesn't. Instead, it begins collecting clues like a detective working a case. You replay every word, every pause, every facial expression. You create theories. You imagine possibilities. You search for hidden meanings that nobody else seems to notice. And before you know it, a 5-minute interaction has become a 2-hour investigation. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most people think deep thinkers are simply smarter than everyone else. But the truth is, thinking deeply is both a gift and a burden. Because the same mind that can discover profound truths can also become trapped inside endless mental loops. The same awareness that helps you understand life can slowly disconnect you from actually living it. Today, we're going to explore the hidden psychology of people who think too deeply, why their minds operate differently, the psychological traps they often fall into, and how they can learn to transform deep thinking from a source of suffering into a source of wisdom. Before we can understand why some people think so deeply, we first need to understand something surprising. Deep thinking is rarely about intelligence alone. In psychology, the human brain evolved to search for patterns. Thousands of years ago, this ability helped our ancestors survive. Detecting danger early could mean the difference between life and death. But some minds developed a pattern detection system that is far more sensitive than average. Imagine two people standing in front of the same ocean. One person sees waves. The other notices the currents underneath. One person hears a conversation. The other hears emotions hidden beneath the words. This difference changes everything. The brain of a deep thinker behaves less like a camera and more like a radar system. It is constantly scanning beneath the surface. And while that ability can create insight, it can also create psychological traps. The first sign of a deep thinker is what we might call the burden of hidden meanings. Most conversations happen on two levels. There are the words people say. And then there are the emotions behind those words. Deep thinkers naturally focus on both. A friend says, "I'm fine." Most people accept the answer. But the deep thinker notices the forced smile, the slight hesitation, and the tired eyes. Their mind immediately begins connecting dots. Psychologists call this high social sensitivity. It is closely connected to emotional intelligence and advanced pattern recognition. The problem is that the brain doesn't always know when to stop. Imagine receiving a text message from someone important. Normally, they reply within minutes. Today, they take 3 hours. A deep thinker instantly begins constructing explanations. Maybe they're upset. Maybe they lost interest. Maybe something is wrong. The mind becomes a theater where dozens of possible stories begin performing simultaneously. The emotional consequence is exhaustion. Because carrying every possible interpretation is like carrying 10 backpacks when only one belongs to you. And this leads directly into the second psychological trap. The illusion of control. Many deep thinkers secretly believe that if they can understand everything, they can prevent pain. If they analyze enough, predict enough, and prepare enough, they can protect themselves from disappointment. Psychology refers to this tendency as anticipatory thinking. The brain tries to reduce uncertainty by creating mental simulations. But here's the paradox. The more uncertainty you try to eliminate, the more uncertainty you notice. Imagine someone entering a new relationship. Instead of enjoying the experience, their mind constantly scans for warning signs. Every delayed reply becomes evidence. Every disagreement becomes a prediction. Every moment is examined under a psychological microscope. The relationship becomes less about connection and more about investigation. Deep down, the person is not seeking truth. They are seeking safety. Their analysis becomes a shield. But over time, that shield slowly turns into a prison. Because life can never be completely predicted. And when people spend all their energy preparing for pain, they often miss the joy happening right in front of them. This brings us to the third sign. Living inside the mind instead of reality. Carl Jung once suggested that many people live more in their internal world than in the external one. For deep thinkers, this tendency can become extreme. Their inner world becomes richer than reality itself. Every event creates reflections. Every reflection creates questions. Every question creates another layer of thinking. Imagine sitting in a beautiful park during sunset. Most people simply enjoy the moment. But the deep thinker may begin wondering about the passage of time, the meaning of existence, aging, mortality, purpose, relationships, and whether they are truly living the life they want. One sunset becomes a philosophical journey. There is beauty in this. But there is also danger. Because while the mind is traveling through abstract worlds, reality continues moving forward. Life is happening. People are talking. Opportunities are appearing. And sometimes disappearing. The deep thinker becomes like a person standing at the edge of a river, analyzing the water so carefully that they forget to step inside. And eventually, this habit creates another challenge. Emotional isolation. One of the loneliest experiences in the world is feeling like nobody understands how your mind works. Deep thinkers often struggle with this feeling. They see complexity where others see simplicity. They ask questions that most people never ask. They notice contradictions, patterns, and emotional nuances that others overlook. As a result, conversations can feel unsatisfying. While everyone else is discussing what happened, the deep thinker is wondering why it happened. While others focus on events, they focus on meaning. This can create an invisible distance between them and the people around them. Not because they are better. Not because they are wiser. But because they are operating on a different psychological frequency. Many eventually learn to hide their thoughts. They smile. They participate. They appear normal. But inside, there is a world of questions nobody sees. And this hidden loneliness can become surprisingly heavy. Yet perhaps the most dangerous trap of all is the confusion between awareness and wisdom. These two things sound similar. But they are not the same. Awareness means seeing many possibilities. Wisdom means knowing which possibilities deserve your attention. Deep thinkers are often incredibly aware. They can identify countless scenarios, countless risks, countless meanings. But awareness without boundaries creates mental noise. Imagine standing in front of 1,000 open doors. Every door represents a possible interpretation, a possible outcome, a possible future. Without wisdom, you spend your life opening doors. With wisdom, you learn which doors can remain closed. This realization changes everything. Because the solution for deep thinkers is not to stop thinking deeply. That would be impossible. The goal is to learn how to think deeply without drowning in thought. And this brings us to the path forward. The first principle is learning the difference between observation and ownership. Deep thinkers often absorb everything they notice. But not every observation belongs to you. You may notice tension between two co-workers. You may sense sadness in a friend. You may recognize insecurity in someone who appears confident. Seeing it does not mean carrying it. Psychologically, emotional boundaries protect the nervous system from overload. Think of yourself as a lighthouse. The lighthouse sees every ship passing through the storm. But it does not jump into the ocean to save every vessel. It simply provides guidance and remains grounded. The second principle is practicing uncertainty tolerance. The human brain hates uncertainty. But life depends on it. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches that many forms of anxiety are strengthened by the constant need for certainty. When you stop demanding answers for every question, the mind begins to relax. Imagine sending a message and not receiving a reply. Instead of creating 10 explanations, simply allow the uncertainty to exist. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're tired. Maybe you'll find out later. And maybe you won't. The goal is not certainty. The goal is peace. The third principle is returning to the present moment. Deep thinkers spend enormous amounts of time in the past and future. Mindfulness works because it redirects attention back to reality. Not the imagined future. Not the reconstructed past. The present. When drinking coffee, drink coffee. When walking, walk. When talking with someone, listen completely. This sounds simple. But psychologically, it retrains the brain to experience life instead of merely analyzing it. The fourth principle is transforming reflection into action. Many deep thinkers become trapped in endless preparation. They study, plan, research, analyze, and wait. But confidence is not created through thinking. It is created through experience. A person can spend years analyzing how to swim. But eventually they must enter the water. Action teaches lessons that thinking never can. And finally, learn to trust your mind without obeying it. This may be the most important principle of all. Your mind is a powerful advisor. But it is not always a reliable ruler. Not every thought deserves attention. Not every fear deserves belief. Not every possibility deserves investigation. Sometimes wisdom means hearing the mind and choosing not to follow it. When deep thinkers master this skill, something remarkable happens. Their awareness remains. Their intelligence remains. Their sensitivity remains. But the suffering begins to fade. They stop carrying every burden. They stop solving every mystery. They stop fighting every uncertainty. And for the first time, they discover what true mental freedom feels like. The deepest thinkers are often searching for meaning. But meaning is not always found through analysis. Sometimes it is found through experience. Through relationships. Through mistakes. Through laughter. Through ordinary moments that cannot be explained but can only be lived. Perhaps the purpose of deep thinking was never to understand every corner of life. Perhaps its purpose was simply to help us appreciate life's depth while still having the courage to participate in it. If you see yourself in today's video, remember this. Your deep mind is not a weakness. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. Your ability to see beneath the surface is a rare gift. Just don't forget to come back to the surface sometimes and enjoy the view. If this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments which psychological trap you relate to the most. And if you found value in today's discussion, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for watching until the end. This is MentaraX, keep exploring the hidden psychology of the human mind. I'll see you in the next video.